Hello everybody, it's Mr. Walker, the superintendent from North Rose Wolcott Central Schools, and I'm here to narrate a PowerPoint for you that we put on last Tuesday night in front of the board and over 100 community members. I was very pleased with the turnout from our community and certainly very pleased to present to you some background information on the PowerPoint that you can see on our website as we move forward in North Rose Wolcott for our kids, for our community, for our schools. The first slide says today and tomorrow, realities, possibilities, visions, and futures. And that's exactly what this PowerPoint is about and what I'm about to share with you through the narration. It's about the realities of our current buildings and school systems. It's about the possibilities and visions for our community and our future. So I'll let you know each slide moves to the next slide. I'll let you know. So I just clicked, and now you should see the second slide saying the beginning with an end in mind. And I want to make sure that you understand the end in mind is for this district, for this community, and for our students. You'll see on the left side 1A, 1B, and 1C, because all three of these focuses are critical. But the first one, most important one, is, of course, our students. What are their learning hopes and expectations and demands and possibilities in the year 2015 and beyond? Why? Because we have a charge to look beyond next year and look beyond a few years. My focus is 2020, the year 2020. What are those hopes and dreams, and what are the infrastructure situations that we need for this district to provide a great education for our children in the year 2020? 1B, of course, the focus has to be fiscal responsibility. Where's the best place to put our dollars? And that was what Tuesday night was about. After students' focus is I'm presenting a completely different view of where we need to put our dollars, where's the best place to put our dollars, and considering short-term and long-term. And of course, the third focus is what about our community? There's all kinds of conversations going on, especially in Wayne County, about surviving. Can we survive? And I proposed Tuesday night, and I'm proposing it to you through this narration, that we should not look for survival. We should look for thrive. How do we thrive? It isn't about surviving, it's about thriving. And that's what we need to do, focus on how we can enhance our community and then not just survive, but actually thrive. So click to the next slide if you want. A quick overview about bonds. And again, Tuesday night I emphasized the need for maintaining, repairing, and improving our school systems, our buildings, our grounds. And that's really what a bond is. As you can see the slide, I won't read all the words, but in essence it deals with the community asking for the state to recognize monies that need to be spent to upgrade, to maintain, and repair. It recognizes the community cannot afford the kinds of financial demands in one particular year, so we ask the community and we ask the state to assist us in that through a bond or a state aid. And that's what this slide is all about. Of course, the last bond in this community was over 5 years ago. In fact, it was 7 years ago. And that bond was approximately $22 million. We needed some assistance from the state on that, and that's called state aid. The actual dollars from the community was $1.4 million on that $22 million bond about 5 or 6 years ago. But however, as I said Tuesday night, I'm not going to be phony about it. It needs to be real. That $22 million from the state, or the $20 million from the state, is our money too. It was not given to us by the state. We paid that through our sales taxes and our other taxes, and the state receives that money and then brings it back to us in the form of state aid on bonds. So rather than say, oh, don't worry, that's not really our money, we got that from the state, I knew, and I said it Tuesday, I knew darn well that we contributed that money at one time or another to the state of New York, and we're entitled to that money coming back to us in the form of state aid whenever we have a bond. So the bottom line for this slide is, no matter what we decide to do, and this proposal about Florentine and Leavenworth, no matter what we decide to do, we need this community to support the maintaining and repairing and the growth of a school district via a bond. So no matter what we ask for, we have to have some help in maintaining the district, whether we spend the money in Florentine or Leavenworth or NRWE or the high school. We need a bond no matter what. And of course, you need to remember this, the timeline for all bonds, it takes over 2 years or up to 2 years by the time we go to the community, ask for a vote, look for state approval, get our bids out, and no work has even started yet. So it's very important that you understand at this moment in time, we need to repair our buildings over the next 3 to 5 years. We need a bond. No matter what we do with that bond, we need a bond. I'm asking the community, as I did Tuesday night, to consider how they spend an approved bond from this community, and also how the state assists us with the aid on that money so that we can afford to do our repairs. So I've gone to the next slide where it says the realities of Florentine and Leavenworth. The next 2 slides, as they saw Tuesday night, rather dramatic. These are actual numbers. This is physical, actual data that is there, the realities of our current Florentine and our current Leavenworth. As I said Tuesday, I recognize the historic worth of Leavenworth building. It is a beautiful, gorgeous, actually, the most beautiful building in downtown Wolcott. The churches that we have there are gorgeous as well, but as a school building, Leavenworth is a centerpiece of this community, and it needs to be dignified, it needs to be remembered, it needs to be part of this community. So I am not proposing right up front that Leavenworth is closed up and boarded up and just deteriorates beyond any kind of use that we could possibly think about in the future. I'm saying just the opposite. As we go through the realities of a school district, how can we embrace and actually preserve this gorgeous building of Leavenworth that, as these next 2 slides point out, Leavenworth is really not that positive 2020 conducive building for our kids. The infrastructure is so limited, and actually the grounds are so limited for the year 2020. I'm proposing to look at the realities. I'm proposing that Leavenworth be used in a different manner, but honored as a centerpiece for the community, not only just for Wolcott, but for this entire region. So you can see the slides, and those data that you're looking at is actual, and I think the bottom line for that slide is that Florentine has greater potential as a 2020 middle school. Leavenworth has tremendous value, but it is so limited in trying to put it into the 2020 year that no matter what we do to Leavenworth, the money is not worth the actual dollars and cents it will take to recondition and reposition Leavenworth for the year 2020. So that slide is pretty self-explanatory as the realities. I've clicked again and gone to the second reality slide, and this is the money part of our current status. I'll go to Florentine first, as I did Tuesday. We owe about $500,000 on Florentine right now. And of course, the debt has been gathered over the years during remodeling and previous bonds that we've borrowed the money, but we still owe that money as we go through 9 or 12 years for paying back the state or receiving the debt from the state aid. And that's what this slide is about. So if we continue to own Florentine and Leavenworth over the next 9 to 12 years, this district receives all that state aid, about $500,000 on Florentine, and you'll notice that Leavenworth says $4.2 million. So payback, we would have to pay the state back either way if we sold either building for a profit. That's a problem. Number one, we cannot afford to eat $500,000 worth of debt. We cannot afford, certainly this community cannot afford $4.2 million payback to the state because we sold the building. Unfortunately, in both Florentine and Leavenworth, there is nobody beating down our doors to give us money to buy these two buildings for more than the debt that's on those buildings. So either way, the district would lose and this community would lose actual hard-earned dollars because the buildings are not being asked to be sold for $5 million or $3 million. Frankly, nobody's beating down our doors. So I'm saying we need to recover those debts over time, the $4.2 million and the $500,000 on Florentine, and we cannot afford to pay that back to the state. Now, the second part of that slide is a building condition survey data. That's a BCS, as we call it. And I said Tuesday, the BCS, the state demands that a building condition survey is done every 5 years. And we just completed it as in the year 2012. So both buildings were looked at by an independent architect, an independent construction group, and they create a very, very extensive list as to the repairs that are needed for our buildings, and in this case, Florentine and Leavenworth. As you can see, if all the priority items for Florentine were done, if every priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3 item was done, it would be $4.1 million, and then you'd have a relatively new, if not a completely new building. On the other side of the slide, Leavenworth shows if all the priority 1s were done and all our priority repairs and renovations were done to Leavenworth, it would be $10.2 million. Now, as I go back to a previous slide and I said, where's the best place to put our money? It is clear to me that $10.2 million invested in Leavenworth, additional $10 million in Leavenworth, we would still have a rather inadequate middle school building. We would have an inadequate educational program for the year 2020, even though we put another $10 million into Leavenworth, because as beautiful and historic as the building is, the infrastructure is not able to handle that future demand. And so, yes, we have to rewire the entire building. It involves a lot of asbestos removal if we touch the building. I did emphasize Tuesday night that Leavenworth is a safe building. Right now it has a good roof on it. It has new boilers in it that we just put in a few years ago, and it is a safe and usable building. However, any remodeling that we do, any future repairs and maintenance, the asbestos abatement that's required for those repairs actually outweighs the reason for doing it. And that's where the $10.2 million escalates, because of the infrastructure. The age of the infrastructure prevents us from remodeling it easily and doing things that we need to do in a quick and orderly and cheap fashion. On the left side of the slide, though, as you saw earlier and now, Florentine allows for expansion. Florentine, its infrastructure is much more conducive to putting remodeling, wiring, and technologies into that building for the year 2020. And it also is a lot cheaper to do so. So the realities, those two slides are very critical. And the people that attended Tuesday night, I think they were very polite and respectful about these two slides, but they were very sad in regard to what building should we put our eggs in, what building is worth the actual dollars and cents for the year 2018 and 2020. I'm proposing, as I did Tuesday, that given the realities of the debt and given the realities of the infrastructure, that the Florentine building be converted to the new middle school, and we talk about Leavenworth's use and utilization in a different way. I've clicked the slides down. I'm now where it says Florentine Middle School Vision and Future. I'm proposing to the community that we look at adding 8 to 10 classrooms, a designated science wing, media technology center. Of course, we have to enlarge the CAF and accommodate some storage, and finally have a full-size gymnasium with actual bleachers where people can come and watch their beautiful children play, perform in athletic or other kinds of competitions, that they can actually join in those events. Right now, as if you clearly know the Leavenworth building, there is no way I can expand the gymnasium to include bleachers and participants. It's just so landlocked. But the Florentine building is not landlocked. So student lockers, infrastructure upgrades, all of these things I'm proposing that we put our money into Florentine and provide a futuristic, if you would, middle school for our community and for our students. The good news is if the community agrees to this plan, all work in Florentine can be started as soon as possible because there are no students in the building, and the completion for all of it would be about a year, maybe even less than a year, because they can get in and do all the work. That's another issue I brought up with Tuesday night, that as we continue to use as we continue to use Leavenworth and all our buildings, we're limited to just the summertime as far as construction goes, because the rest of the year we have kids in the building. And so all construction and renovation in our other buildings take a much longer period of time to accomplish, simply for the fact that we can't bounce all our students out and move them somewhere while the renovations are being done. That's a huge problem with the Leavenworth building due to the complications of asbestos removal and infrastructure situation. So it would take about 4 years in time to renovate the Leavenworth building, even with the $4.5 and $10 million bill. The Florentine building, of course, can be done in less than a year. Now, with just these additions, as you're looking at that slide, the bottom says preliminary estimates, and these are very, very preliminary, but we're in the ballpark. Between $10 and $12 million will completely renovate the Florentine building into a 2020 and beyond middle school. The estimated state aid, which I referred to earlier, is about 85%. It's gone down from 90 and in fact as high as 95%. It's actually now down to 85. So if you look at those figures, the earlier slides, and you look at this bottom of the future vision, it would cost physical dollars from this community right now about $2 million, $1.5 to $2 million in the dollars coffers that we have right now, plus the state aid giving us back 85% of that 10. So our contribution would be about 1.5 to $2 million. What that means is we have enough money right now in our capital reserve to fund these improvements, these additions in the Florentine building, and still not ask the community for additional dollars. But again, remember what I said earlier, as I did Tuesday night, that state aid, 85% money, approximately $8 million or so, $9 million, that is our money too. It is dollars that we have contributed through a sales tax and other issues to the state of New York. We have a right to ask the state to help us with that 85%. It's our money. It isn't coming from Jersey or Pennsylvania. We've contributed those funds, and we have a right to ask the state to help us with those $10 million or $12 million costs. If we do not ask the state for that aid, some other school district in New York State will take that money and run. So that's how the bonds work, and that's how state aid works. I believe we have a viable plan for Florentine and Leavenworth that the state will hopefully agree and say, yes, we want to help you with 85% state aid, our money to begin with, and the contribution from the community will be drastically reduced, in fact, down to about 15%, which we already have in our capital reserve. I click to the next slide, and now I want to talk very quickly about the Leavenworth vision and the future of our community and how Leavenworth can fit into it. I propose to you that since we owe $4.2 million and we're receiving about $4.3 million back in state aid on that building, we keep the building. The district will retain ownership, which allows us to pick up our approximately $4.3 or so in state aid over the next 12 years. But we take the Leavenworth building, which is a safe and buttoned up. There's a new roof and a good furnace in that building now. We take that building and we convert it, we utilize it in conjunction with this community as an educational, a recreational, and a business center for this region. We will join hopefully with our area villages, towns, and agencies, and turn the Leavenworth building from a middle school into a regional community center, and hopefully generate not only excitement and program and some recreational opportunities for all our students, not just middle students, and partner with some businesses and local agencies that will hopefully defray the cost to almost nothing if we can utilize the building with partnerships. So I've clicked to the next slide, and I want to talk quickly about the educational opportunities for a community center in the village of Wolcott. We would use that building, the school district would use that building for our after-school programs, Advantage program. Currently have about 130 kids who stay after right now in other buildings and other areas, and we cram them into classrooms that teachers have just left, and there's always some issues about utilizing supplies or borrowing someone else's crayons, and then the morning after that the teacher comes back and the room was a bit of a disarray, or they've lost a candy bar that was sitting on their desk, and it causes a lot of tension about other students running into a room at the end of the day or from 3 to 5, and the actual teacher of that room is gone, and then comes back the next day and finds their room has been utilized differently than they had planned when they left. So a community center could do after school, an alternative learning center for the high school and middle school. We could always use a separate location for our alternative learning center. I proposed to you that years ago this community had adult ed in the evening classes, and it was very successful. But what happened was it became too difficult to have adult ed in the current buildings with custodial work trying to go on and clean the rooms, and then basketball games or plays and parking that became so difficult that adult ed faded away. In a community center that's designated as portion of that building strictly for adult ed or GED programs, it's self-contained and it's a better utilization of the building, as well as not conflicting with our current high school and other buildings for all the other evening programs that may be going on. A community center would have a possibility of teacher resource center, area staff development rooms, and for me, as I said Tuesday night, one of my favorites is a permanent Board of Education meeting room where people could attend and hear what was going on. We would have it staffed and we have it set up permanently so that the community could come in and attend board meetings and feel comfortable about that, rather than being crammed in a little classroom. Exciting educational opportunity for our kids, I believe, is with the community center. We could possibly house some satellite campuses for Oswego, Cayuga, and Finger Lakes colleges. Why do our kids have to travel to Newark? Why would our students have to get in a car and pay $5 for gas and drive to Monroe County to attend a CCFL or a Monroe Community College course? Why can't we have some satellite campuses here in this building called the Leavenworth Community Center? And of course, distance learning opportunities. I'll click to the next slides that show some pictures of opportunities of education, and at all ages, by the way. I've clicked another slide, and now I'm at the slide that says Community Center Educational Opportunities for High School and Middle School Evening Enrichment Classes. We can utilize some state and federal grants, driver's ed, and a very important one. I think that the Community Center Leavenworth, a gorgeous theater, our middle school drama and musicals will continue in that building. We need to utilize that beautiful theater and auditorium for our own kids. And getting them there, if they didn't walk, which they can walk now because most of them live around the village, we certainly would help our students get there for after-school rehearsals and the such. Also, educational, why can't we set up a pre-K schooling situation in our community center if we have one? And of course, we'd utilize some of the building for summer school, possibly training law enforcement centers, and a Wolcott training center for maintenance and custodial careers within our own region. I'm clicking again down to the second main aspect of a community center, and that's recreational. How about a historical museum for the Leavenworth Association in the very building that is gorgeous and is deserving of historical memory and value. The alumni offices for the Leavenworth building could be housed in the very building that they're trying to promote. We certainly should look at the art gallery idea, because North Rose Wolcott and the areas around us are known for some phenomenal art talent. Why don't we have a permanent gallery for our kids, for our artists, our local artisans? And why can't we set up some studios for students and just general populace who might want to improve their skills artistic-wise? I'm very excited about the idea of having a community theater utilizing the Leavenworth Auditorium. How about a summer stock, or even a fall, local fall play with some of our own community members producing, directing, and acting? Right now, it's limited as the availability of our own auditorium, because our students are using them for after-school concerts and our own plays and dramas. But however, if we were able to have a community center with a theater, especially in the summer, it would open up possibilities for outside agencies to come in and put on some performances for our community. And again, the arts and crafts programs, a Wi-Fi, summer sports leagues, Meals on Wheels, fitness programs for the young at heart. These are all recreational opportunities utilizing the beautiful building of Leavenworth. I've clicked 2 more slides and just to demonstrate some opportunities, kids and senior citizens, young at hearts, and I'm one of those, I'm a senior citizen, playing and enjoying some opportunities that do not exist in our area now, but could exist in a recreational center called Leavenworth. Of course, I clicked the slide again, it's the last recreational slide about summer escape, the Zumba, fitness, karate, Wi-Fi, computer areas, game rooms, etc., etc. So I think that educationally, as I pointed out earlier, some opportunities for our students and our community to learn and grow. I also believe this community center has the opportunity to have our area residents have some fun as well, and recreational opportunities. I've clicked one more time. I'm at the final slide presentation for the evening, called Business Opportunities. A community center in the very middle of Wolcott allows for office and town center possibilities. As I mentioned earlier, a Board of Education meeting room, perhaps a law enforcement substation, a business opportunity that the local agencies might want to rent some space from us. Night court is available. Local government agencies, possibly training center for our police and firemen. The second last one is a very interesting concept as a business opportunity for this building. It is a school. It's designed as a school. It's a safe school, as long as we don't have to do extensive remodeling. Why can't we provide daycare for our residents, for our staff members, for our Marshall Farms employees? Why can't we provide the opportunity for someone to come in and rent some space from this beautiful center and provide safe and meaningful daycare to our local residents? That's a huge business opportunity, I believe, that may very well satisfy a big demand for affordable daycare, and it's in a school system, in a school building that people feel good about. And of course, a BOCES satellite campus is always a possibility. I've clicked 2 more slides, and I'm at the slide that says Sylvan Learning Center. Some of you know of Sylvan. They have approached us over the years asking for space to rent in our buildings, in our areas, and we haven't been able to provide that to them yet. They have expressed an interest, so possibly they would be a partner in a community center area with a position, a building, a room that was theirs, and they didn't have to worry about other people coming in, going out of it, the evening classes changing with a wrestling group or a basketball game going on, and noise and custodial cleaning, trying to get the room ready for the next morning. They would have their own office or complex, if you would, in a community center building. And there is some inquiry about a possible medical rehab and wellness clinic from some local physicians who might be interested in setting up a part-time wellness clinic in a community center. of course, local church services, Meals on Wheels, and town meetings, etc., etc. So I'm saying to you that there are three distinct possibilities for this gorgeous Leavenworth building, including educational, recreational, and business opportunities to help defray costs in managing this building. All in all, I've clicked to the last slide, and it says today and tomorrow in summary. I believe that it can be a beginning. If this community recognizes the need to thrive rather than just survive, we have to offer some creative ways to not only help our children believe in their future, but to help our senior citizens, our family members, and of course our children, our babies, believe that we see a future here in the North Rose Wolcott area. Even though it's about a village of Wolcott, it's really about our region. It's much larger than just one particular village or town. This is a regional vision that all our students and all our families and community members deserve a future that says we're going to be around for a while. We're not just going to survive day to day. So I propose to this community and to the Board of Education that given the realities, as you saw in that slideshow, given the monies that are involved, given the need to improve our system regardless of whether it's Leavenworth or Florentine, we must have a bond. We must continue to maintain and repair our buildings. And I am proposing that we do not sink a lot of money into the Leavenworth building for a middle school, that we take the money that's necessary and we remodel the Florentine and build a beautiful middle school for 2020 and beyond. And while we do that, we do not dishonor the heritage and value of the Leavenworth building, but yet we create some opportunities for that building to be utilized by more than just middle school kids, but by this entire region. I thank you for your time. I was very thrilled again with the turnout on Tuesday night. The Board of Education will take no action on this slide PowerPoint, the presentation. I've asked the community to email me, email board members, write questions on any kind of paper you want and submit it. We're asking the board to think about this and process this for the next 2 to 4 weeks, and then move forward if the community so indicates that interest in this vision and our future. If the community rallies against this idea and articulates that there are reasons for why they don't want to do this, the board will have some process time to decide whether not to take any action on this. Either way, though, we have to come to this community and ask for a bond to repair our buildings or to accomplish possibly the future of the Florentine and Leavenworth building. Again, thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed the PowerPoint. It is very clear. It's meant that to be succinct for you so you can talk about it in the family around the tables and talk about it in restaurants in the area, and then help us make good decisions about how we spend our money. Have a great evening, or if you're watching at night, have a great conversation regarding the vision and future of our school system.